So one of the big challenges a lot of credit unions face when they sort of have those mergers happen is maintaining a sense of community among the membership.
Yes.
What was your experience with that? And did you have any things that you did to try to maintain that, or?
Yes, we were very focused with that. In fact, our credit union, we have, of course, credit unions are required to have annual meetings. And one of the things that we decided was early on is that whatever we did in Shreveport, because Grambling is an hour away by car, and Bastrop was 2 hours away by car, it wasn't practical to expect that those members would drive into an annual meeting. So early on, our board decided that we would budget to have an annual meeting in each of our market areas. So we had 3 annual meetings, and we would do basically the same things at each of the annual meetings, do the same reports, the same education, same product presentations. At the time, we would do things like, we wanted our members to know the kinds of things we could do for them. So we would have distributors to bring appliances in. We would have car dealers to bring cars into the convention center. And we would have boats and computers set up and all kinds of things to get our members to understand we can do this financing for you, because of course the credit union had grown from very small when it could barely do anything. In fact, before I started, about once or twice a year, the credit union would cease to make loans because it did not have the liquidity. And of course, that's one of the things that I did, was began a liquidity management plan, so that never happened again. But that left an image in the minds of so many of those members, thinking the credit union cannot afford to finance a car, to do certain things. So those were things that we did to shatter that negative image. Well, but we also did that in the Ruston, Grambling community, and we did the same thing in the Bastrop, Morehouse community. And those members were also invited to not only attend, but we gave them a full meal, very nicely catered meal, and they were invited to bring a coworker or a family member as a guest, all on the credit union.
And so, given all of that, like what does the kind of member participation and governance look like? Is it something where you have pretty high attendance at these meetings?
Absolutely.
Do you have competitive elections? What do all those things look like?
We have competitive elections, but the good thing about what a lot of credit unions fear is the openness of elections. But we don't, because what we do is just really serve the members, give the members what they need. And they want our board members to stay in place because they are benefiting. They are really benefiting from the service of those board members. And so we do have competitive elections. The participation now would be between 300 and 400 an average. And of course, with us expanding into Mississippi, we now do 5 meetings, 2 in Mississippi, 3 in Louisiana. And we have an average of 400 to 500 people at each meeting annually. And not only do we do annual meetings like that, during the month of December, we do a retiree luncheon where we honor the retirees and the really loyal folk that have kept the credit union alive. We make sure they know that regardless of how much social media and Facebook we do to get the young people in, and the Gen Y and Gen X, and we really want them in, but we value the baby boomers and we value those senior citizens. And we do a trip once a year called the Club Prestige Trip, where the 50-plus members can just sign up, and we rent as many buses as necessary, and we take them on a trip within 3 hours of the credit union. From all of the marketplaces that we converge. We may have 5 buses from Shreveport, 3 from Grambling, some from Bastrop, and we go. We try to find a place that's pretty centrally located around those 5 market areas so that we could travel 3 or 4 hours and be there. We leave home at 5 or 6 in the morning, spend a day, leave coming home at 7 or 8 at night, and they get home at 12 or 1 in the morning, and they've had a fantastic day. They've had a great time at the expense of their credit union. We take them on 2 or 3 sightseeing tours, and we feed them, really give them 3 great meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And all of this is on their credit union. We've had as many as 15 buses sometimes on these trips. But it's just a fantastic thing. It's very unusual. But when you ask the question, how do you maintain the family feel of a geographically diverse credit union, that's how it's done. Because when all of those members come together, they have one thing in common. It doesn't matter what color they are, where they come from. They all love Shreveport Federal Credit Union, and they are all in one place. They are all having a great time. And we found that some of our members look forward to those trips because they don't see each other otherwise. They met each other on one of the trips 10 years ago. They still attend the trips, and they look forward to the trip each year so that they can get to connect with their friends that they've met down through the years. So it's very unique, very, very unique. I started talking about our retiree luncheon that we do in the month of December. And that's to honor retirees. And what we found now is that many of the senior citizens of the 70s, they worked for 30 years in municipal government, at the university, or even there might have been a teacher or an employee of a parish. In Louisiana, there are parishes. Other places have counties. But they didn't have a lot of extra money to travel. And once they retired, they didn't keep in touch. There were no vehicles for them to keep in touch with coworkers. So we found that was something that the credit union could do for the members of the credit union, is this retiree luncheon where we invite them out to come out and have a great lunch, and we play games and sing the 12 days of Christmas, and they have a ball, and then they get to visit and see people that they maybe have not seen since they retired. And it's a real good feeling for our members. And so those are just a few of the things that we know are very unique, but they've meant a lot to our ability to build a credit union family, to keep the credit union together as a community across 2 states and 8 branches.